Unified, accurate, balanced, and without bias. Told from the human angle perspective. We interview the actors and the experts. All facts laid bare. From Nigeria to the rest of the globe, we deliver the news on time and in time. This is Globe File on Adamimogo 93.1 FM, Lekki, Lagos.
Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to Globe File on Adamimogo 93.1 FM, Lagos. I'm Ayo. At DK headlines. Adelabu set to resign as Power Minister ahead of 2027 governorship race in Oyo. Soweto man accused of raping 12-year-old abandons bail bid. Iran-linked gunboat attacks vessels in Strait of Hormuz despite Trump's ceasefire deal. Now the news in detail. We begin from Nigeria, where the Minister of Power, Adebayo Adelabu, is set to resign from his position in the coming days following a high-level meeting with President Bola Tinubu at the presidential villa. The development was confirmed in a statement by Special Advisor on Strategic Communications and Media Relations, Tunji Bolaji, after the closed-door meeting yesterday. Bolaji said the President commended the Minister for his dedication and the progress recorded, particularly in laying a strong policy foundation for the transformation of power sector. He added that the President granted Adelabu his consent and blessings to pursue his governorship ambition in Oyo State ahead of the 2027 elections. Rumors of his resignation first gained traction around late March, but his media aide dismissed the document as false, insisting the minister remained focused on the power sector. And now, People's Democratic Party National Secretary Samuel Ayamu and ADC National Publicity Secretary Bolaji Abdullahi are currently at the Supreme Court for the hearing of the cases relating to the leadership crisis rocking both parties. For the ADC, the Supreme Court is scheduled to hear an appeal filed by the National Chairman David Mark, who is involved in a leadership dispute with factional Chairman Nafi Balogun. Mark is asking the court to grant an order staying the execution of the Court of Appeal's judgment delivered on March 12, which dismissed the former Senate President's appeal in relation to the ongoing leadership dispute in the party. The Supreme Court will also rule on appeals connected to the PDP's internal leadership crisis. The cases were filed by the Makinde-backed Turaki faction, challenging earlier decisions of the Court of Appeal delivered on March 9. In South Africa, a 58-year-old man accused of raping a 12-year-old girl in Soweto has abandoned his bail application. Sepo Simani is accused of luring the young girl from a Dobsonville home to his house before sexually assaulting the minor. Today, the church leader and politician appeared for a second time before the Roadport Magistrate Court, facing a charge of rape and kidnapping. Following a brief court appearance, his defense indicated that he would no longer seek his release on bail. The state welcomed his submission, petitioning the court to postpone the matter to allow for further investigations, gathering of outstanding video evidence and documents. The accused remains in custody, with the matter set down for the 20th of May. Elsewhere, China has expressed high appreciation for the African countries that denied overflight rights to the plane of Taiwanese President Lai Ching-te, forcing him to cancel a trip to Eswatini. Lai said the 5-day visit to Eswatini was shelved after Seychelles, Mauritius and Madagascar unexpectedly withdrew flight permits due to alleged strong pressure from the Chinese authority.
Taiwan's presidential office has also alleged that the withdrawal of overflight rights was the result of heavy pressure from Beijing, including economic coercion targeting the countries involved.
However, Beijing, in a statement by its foreign ministry, denied it had applied economic pressure to block the trip, but applauded the stance of the three countries. China claims self-governed Taiwan as part of its territory and opposes the island having diplomatic relations with other countries. You're listening to Globe File on Adami Mogo 93.1 FM Lagos. Still to come, Iran-linked gunboat attacks vessels in Strait of Hormuz despite Trump's ceasefire deal.
You can listen to Adami Mogo 93.1 FM from any part of the world. Download the Adami Mogo 931 FM app from Google Play Store and Radio Garden. Follow us on Adami Mogo 931 FM on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. If you have eyewitness stories or exclusive to share, contact the Adami Mogo FM newsroom via mail at newsroom@adamimogofm.com. Or you can dial 070-634-03583. You can dial 090-319-69629. Adami Mogo 93.1 FM Lagos, Voice of the Light.
Glad to know you're still with us, and now to the rest of our stories. In the Middle East, the United Kingdom Maritime Trade Operations has confirmed that at least 3 container ships were hit by gunfire in the Strait of Hormuz today. UKMTO said a Liberia-flagged container ship sustained damages to its bridge after being hit by gunfire and rocket-propelled grenades northeast of Oman. The vessel reported being attacked by an IRGC gunboat, but all crew members were safe and there was no fire or environmental impact due to the incident. Maritime security sources and reporters said that 3 people were on board the gunboat as of the time of attack.
Hi, Ainsley. There is supposed to be a ceasefire, but we are getting these reports of 3 separate ships attacked in the Strait of Hormuz this morning. The 3rd cargo ship, the most recent, reportedly has been attacked while attempting to transit the strait. It may have a Panama flag on it, and earlier the British military reported one of its ships was attacked as well. We don't have the confirmed attacker, but Iran is suspected here.
Iran has imposed restrictions on ships using the strait, first in retaliation for U.S.-Israeli bombardment on the country, and then in response to a U.S. blockade of Iranian ports. In the meantime, Iran's foreign minister Abbas Araghchi has insisted that blockading Iranian ports is an act of war and a violation of the ceasefire, adding that Tehran will resist bullying. Araghchi's comment follows U.S. blockade of the Iranian ports amidst an extension of the ceasefire by President Donald Trump. Trump had noted that the blockade will continue until Tehran submits a proposal for talks and discussions are concluded one way or the other.
I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe I won't extend it. Okay. But the blockade is going to remain. But maybe I won't extend it. So you have a blockade, and unfortunately we'll have to start dropping bombs again. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. I think it's going to happen.
Meanwhile, reports suggest last-ditch efforts are underway by Pakistani mediators to try to salvage the highly anticipated second round of peace talks between the U.S. and Iran. And now UK Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer will face members of Parliament for a second time this week as the row over Lord Mandalos's venting continues. Yesterday, he sacked Foreign Office Chief Ola Robinson told Member Parliament that Number 10 had put constant pressure on the Foreign Office of Mandalson. He said Downing Street had taken a dismissive attitude to background checks, a claim the government has denied, saying it was reasonable to ask for updates on the appointment.
The briefing I was getting as I arrived at post was what I felt was a generally dismissive attitude to his vetting clearance. The focus was on getting Mandelson out to Washington quickly. Despite this atmosphere, an atmosphere of pressure, the department completed developed vetting to the normal high standard. Because the vetting process is not there to determine fitness for office or reputational risk, it's there to protect national security.
Mandelson was announced as UK's ambassador to the US in December 2024 before undergoing in-depth vetting to obtain his required security clearance for the role. He was sacked less than a year later after new details emerged about the extent of his friendship with the late convicted child sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Now to Asia, where South Korean authorities have found that 2 fighter jets collided mid-air in 2021 because the pilots were taking pictures and videos. The incident took place while the jets were on a flight mission in the central city of Daegu, according to Seoul's Board of Audit and Inspection. The pilots survived with no injuries, but the collision damaged the planes, costing the military 880 million won in repairs. One of the pilots, who has since left the military, was made to pay a fine of 88 million won. The incident took place because the pilot had wanted to take photos to commemorate his last flight with his military unit. According to the report released today, taking photos of significant flights was a widespread practice among pilots at the time. Now to entertainment, where South Korean police are seeking to arrest Bang Si-hyuk, the music mogul behind K-pop supergroup BTS, over an alleged £100 million investment fraud. Bang Si-hyuk, who is widely seen as one of the most powerful figures in South Korean music, is being investigated over allegations that he told investors HYBE had no plans to go public, which convinced them to sell their shares to a private equity fund in 2019. The company then proceeded with an initial public offering, with police suggesting the fund may have paid Bang, who is the founder and chairman of HYBE, around 200 billion won in a side deal. The Seoul Metropolitan Police Agency has since asked prosecutors to request a court warrant for Bang's arrest. The billionaire has been barred from leaving the country since August, denies any wrongdoing. And just before we bring Glove out to an end, here's a recap of the biggest stories. I told you the Minister of Power, Adebayo Adelabu, is set to resign from his position in coming days following a high-level meeting with President Bola Tinubu at the presidential villa. Also in the news, 58-year-old Seto Simani, accused of raping a 12-year-old girl in Soweto, South Africa, has abandoned his bail application. Finally, it was in the news that UK Maritime Trade Operations, UK MTO, has confirmed that at least 3 container ships were hit by gunfire in the Strait of Hormuz today. And that's Global. Join us at 2 o'clock for more stories on the briefing on Adami Mogo 93.1